Hello everyone, this is Big Tough Nerd from Vancouver. I have lived in China for more than 20 years and have been a professional engineer in North America for around 20 years. I'm here to share some ideas on some hot topics from a regular person's point of view. I will try my best to give you a new perspective different from popular propaganda. Today, we would like to explain a bit regarding why news on China or Chinese is always negative. Nowadays, if you watch news in North America, most of the news related to China are either negative or too exaggerated positive. Neither of those reflect the full reality. Most of the time, when you hear something about China, you tend to think it's a communist country without democracy and freedom, just like the Soviet Union. The government treats their people really bad without respecting human rights, like North Korea. Chinese hate their government so bad. The Chinese government is so aggressive to all other countries, and they are a threat to a peaceful world. Most importantly, China is on the wrong path. Are these preconceived beliefs true? When you come to the reality, it's extremely confusing. If China was on the wrong path, how come China's GDP growth has averaged 10% a year for the last 40 years? And the average income for regular Chinese has increased 50 times from $190 to $10,000 a year during the last 4 decades. According to UN, in the last 40 years, 800 million Chinese were out of poverty, which is 80% of the total removed poverty in the world during this period. In the last 10 years, so many rich Chinese came to North America to buy the properties, raising the market price by quite a bit. Most of those rich Chinese are actually working for their private companies, not crooked government leaders. How can a communist country have so many rich private businessmen? Very few times could you find an aggressive Chinese in your life, no matter in which country. While you're talking about China, keep in mind China is actually made up of 1.3 billion, not aggressive Chinese. The population and area of China, like squeezing all Western countries' population, including North America, Europe, Australia, Japan, into the United States. Other than a few small border disputes with India along Himalayas and a few other neighboring countries along South China Sea, China didn't have any battles for the last 40 years. No country has been invaded or messed up by China. 170 million Chinese people left border of China and went back in 2019 alone. This rate is increasing 10% a year. If they were treated so bad, without freedom, why would they went back? So the question will be, why does propaganda always macroscope the negative side of China? I think the most importantly, first, the horrible memory of Cold War. After 1949 Communist Party took over China, it has been a firm alliance with the Soviet Union for about 12 years. China dominated the Korea War, fighting against the UN army, which was led by the United States. Hundreds of thousands Americans died during the war. But the US didn't win and had to sign a Korea Armistice Agreement with Chinese in 1953. Even though the US's GDP was more than 10 times of China at that time, it didn't win. The United States strategically forgotten the Korea War. The following Vietnam War, in 1960s, China strongly supported North Vietnam and announced if US infantry crossed the 17-degree north latitude, China will officially join the war. US followed the rule and lost the war. President Nixon visited China 1972 to unfreeze the relationship of United States and China, not because he loved world peace, just want to cooperate with Chinese fighting against the powerful Soviet Union. After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, China became the most qualified major opponent to the United States. Second, the ideology difference. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, is the only party governing the country. It's totally different system from the Western countries. People tend to believe that the Chinese government is the same as the Soviet Union government. Aggressive expansionism. Even after 1978 Reformation, China has opened the gates and utilized market value and joined the WTO in 2020. 40 years after the capitalism reformation and opened the gates, the reality is that China is the most capitalist country in the world. If you have a chance to talk with any Chinese inside or outside of China, none of them truly believe in a socialist or communist idea. Even CCP members. On the contrary, you'll be shocked that most of them are politically right and really hate the left. The socialism practiced through 1959 to 1962 caused 30 million deaths of starvation. This bloody lesson taught the Chinese if you are not working hard for yourself, for your own life, if everyone was trying to share instead of contributing, the destination is a massive starvation. Even it's not reflecting the full picture, calling China a national capitalist country is closer to the reality than calling it a socialist country. However, you don't see the media ideology tone change ever. Why is that? The argument between the socialist and the capitalist is a good cover to the battle for the benefit. The best example is that trade war between China and the United States. Third, the negative news is the best tool to surprise China join the competition. China is the second largest economy in the world. In 2019, the United States GDP is 21 trillion and China was $14 trillion. And China's GDP growth rate is much higher than the United States. The World Bank predicted that China will be the largest economy around 2030. The United States is the only superpower in the world at this moment. It dominates the world's propaganda system. The second economy was always the main target during the last 70 years, just like 40s UK, 50s to 70s Soviet Union, 80s Japan, 90s European Union, and now it's China. Before China, all the main target was either collapsed or stalled and was ensured not surpassing United States. Being an American, it is an absolutely right approach. However, being a regular person in the world, do we want to be fooled by the weapon of media? Fourth, the intentionally created rumors through the information warfare organizations. It is well known that the information war against China has been there from the Cold War to the future. The military or government-funded organizations broadcasting the negative news or even the fake news to attack the targeted countries. The government-funded mass media is not allowed in the United States. However, it is fully funded by US government, and it has radio station and TV stations broadcasting 24/7 on negative news about China. Frankly saying, it was one of my favorite stations while I was in China. After I moved into the United States, I got opportunities to cross-check the news from and their news have been manipulated badly. It's not trustful at all. Fifth, the dramatic cultural difference, lack of communication and mutual understanding. As you could see from the graphic characteristic of China, China had been an enclosed country naturally and culturally for the last 4,000 years. North of China is the second largest desert, also known as Gobi, and the lifeless Siberia. West and southwest is the Himalaya mountain range of more than 5,000 meters of altitude. South is a tropical forest and east is Pacific Ocean. Not until 1840, or the First Opium War between China and the UK, China was mostly enclosed, rarely communicated with the outside world. Regular Chinese people were finally open to the world in 1978. The communication gap due to the language and the culture are narrowing through the time but are still really wide. Especially with the man-made barriers made by the Chinese government and the Western countries. The misunderstanding of each other will lead to disaster. When you open a documentary of the Korean War, it is a perfect example of a war which was caused by misunderstanding. The United States was involved in the Korean War in order to stop the Chinese from spreading communists around the world. And it's proven that the Chinese did not have any intention to do it. At the same time, China was involved in a war to stop the United States from invading their country. And it has been proven that US didn't plan to do it either. However, this war caused millions of casualties from 20 countries around the world. Appreciate the friendly, multicultural environment in North America, where we can have the chance to talk with people from all around the world. Through talking, we can easily find out whether the news from the media was manipulated to attract your attention or was used for someone's benefit. Thanks guys. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.